Hey guys, Heather here from Tye-Dyed Iguana, and today we're going to talk about how to take care of a Gold Dust Day Gecko. Alrighty, so here is the Gold Dust Day Gecko with species name of Phelsuma laticata. So one cool thing about these guys is they actually come from Madagascar. Now as far as their size goes, they only get about 4.5 to 6 inches long, so they stay really small, unlike your giant day geckos that you might see a lot of times here at our store. We don't have any in stock right now, but we do have this little guy, which is our Gold Dust. And these guys will get about 6 to 8 years old for their average lifespan. So as far as their tank size goes, these guys need a nice tall tank because they are an arboreal species. We recommend at least a 12 by 12 by 18, an upright tank, as a minimum for one of the Gold Dust Day Geckos. So that would be good for one adult, and make sure they have plenty of space to climb once you add branches and stuff in there. So as far as decorations, the decorations are important because it allows them to climb around. You should provide horizontal and vertical branches for them to climb on. That creates a really nice climbing space for them. So some other good decorations to use are cork rounds and some foliage, just to give them places to hide in the tank. These guys, they get scared sometimes, so it's good to have a place where they can go to hide. As for what else you should have in the tank, you should have a nice small water bowl for them. Don't put a huge water bowl in there because if you have a baby gecko, they can drown in there. So just make sure that you have one that's pretty small. They don't need a big one at all. As far as their substrate goes, because of humidity requirements, they do need a pretty absorbent substrate. We recommend either peat moss or coconut fiber for these guys. For ours, we use a mix of jungle mix, which has peat moss and sphagnum moss in it, and our repti bark. That's what we use in our tank. So Gold Dust geckos are omnivores. They will eat both insects and this food that we also use called rapashi. This is the rapashi down there. We usually give them Rapashi Superfoods Crested Gecko diet. This is a powder that you mix with water that contains vitamins, minerals, protein, and bee pollen and other nutritious foods for these guys. It kind of replicates like rotten fruit that they would eat in the wild. Now as far as the insects we feed them, we feed these guys small crickets. We feed him about six crickets maybe every other day or so. Don't have to feed it to them every day. Now for these guys with their rapashi though, we do make sure they have access to it every day, but we only leave the same food in there for about 2 to 3 days. Every 2 to 3 days you need to replace it, otherwise it will get really dry, really gross. So definitely give them fresh rapashi every 2 to 3 days. Now when you feed them live crickets, just make sure you dust them with calcium. And maybe try once a week to dust the crickets with vitamins. That way that they get vitamin powder. That way they get their vitamins each week without overdoing it. So as far as what other foods you can give them for insects, you can give them like silkworms, waxworms. Just make sure that they're really tiny. You can also give them mealworms. I wouldn't feed them too many mealworms just because of how small they are and how hard the exoskeleton of mealworms are. So I would basically just stick to crickets and maybe some waxworms, small waxworms. Yeah, you're licking your chops. You hear me talking about food. So Gold Dust Day Geckos, they can be kept alone or in groups. If you do keep them in groups, just make sure that they are a similar size so they don't try to hurt each other. 2 females, they will usually get along pretty well if you just keep females together. I don't think 2 males would get along very well at all. And if you keep a male and a female together, they will probably end up having eggs. Now for their humidity, just make sure that you spray their cage once or twice a day with water. Their humidity levels should be between 55 to 65%. So they do like to be kept more humid, but just make sure that you don't overdo it and spray too much water in there, because there is such a thing as overspraying a cage where the substrate gets all muddy. Alright, now unlike most geckos, these guys are diurnal, so they do need 2 different lights. In our cage, you can see here we have the heat bulb right there. So you do need to make sure that they have a hot spot. And their hot spot is 90 degrees, so they are kept a little bit at a higher temperature. And then you've also got the UV bulb, which is ours right here. So you definitely need that UVB bulb since these guys do come out during the daytime. And then the cool side of their cage should be kept between 70 to 75 degrees. It's a little bit trickier because of how tall the tank is. You'll usually have one upper corner as the hot spot, and then further up here closer to the front you would have that nice 70 to 75 temperature that they need for the cool side. So yeah, these are pretty cool species to keep. They don't get too big, stay really small, and they're really beautiful, especially with that gold dusting on them. Yep. Of course, this one's got really nice red spots. So, yep, he's really cute, aren't you? Yeah.